So this implicit bias thing,
Mm.
and it came up, and I was like, okay, I'm not surprised if I am biased moderately more towards light skin because of what we're fed, right? Also, I was thinking, I am light skin, I'm mixed race, so I'm gonna like myself, aren't I?
No, but you're laughing, but it's true because I remember I did one of these so many years ago. Someone was doing it as a part of their university dissertation or something,
Yeah,
and we each had to do it. And you tend to be biased towards people who look like you, even if
yeah,
you think that you're not.
yeah,
Subconsciously, you are.
yeah. And part of this study as well, the images they used for black skin people, I'm sorry, it was like borderline. It was only this square, right?
Mm.
Just this square for light skin and dark skinned people. And basically, they had them so dark, it was borderline gollywog looking. Okay. So automatically, I'm uncomfortable. And then when it's being negative, I almost tried to make my hand do the other because
Yeah,
I was like,
you're trying to cheat it.
do you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
don't know how much I would say I have a bias. I think it's more to do with how I perceive myself, and then perhaps how society has trained us to be. And there was one picture of a male actually, which was funny, which I classed as dark skin, but they classed as light skin.
Oh,
So what does that say?
so was he, well, between us, like where was his complexion between yours and mine?
I would say he was slightly lighter than you.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Makes
they
sense.
had
Okay.
they classed him as light skin. And I was like, but
Wow.
okay. But we
Wow.
know our own. I don't know who came up with this, but
Yeah, who made this test for us?
right, it's very interesting. They have all sorts on there. They've got president preference. They've got Jews versus Christians. I'm just like, Lord, okay. Um, they've
President preference. Where was this test like
I'm
four
gonna
months
send you
ago?
the link. It's hilarious. There's like several of them, but as part of my course that I'm doing for
Yeah.
UX design, it's discovering your bias
Wow.
and the realizing your bias so that when you're designing for user experience, you're
Wow.
not stopping yourself from hearing what they actually need because of your own biases.
Hmm.
So that's part of why I did it. This is just fascinating, but I might actually
If I
go
can
on.
do it, I'd love to do it.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how our results compare.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I will. I will send you the link. But
Yeah.
let's get into this.
Okay. I'm so
Well,
excited. Will I sing the
welcome.
theme tune? Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yes. I will add some music. Welcome to the I Have Thoughts podcast, where we explore the strategies and mindsets that successful entrepreneurs use to thrive. I'm your host, Alicia Young Collins, and in this episode, I'm checking in with Georgina Benjamin. Hello, darling.
Hi, darling. How are
Hi. Doing well, doing well. Brand and marketing executive and wellness entrepreneur. Would that be accurate?
Well, you know me, darling. You know me. So yes and yes. And it's so funny because sometimes I forget that I am an entrepreneur, and this is going to sound like we planned this, but I was listening to your podcast in the car yesterday,
Reasons why she's my
and
friend. More on that
yes,
later.
exactly. I subscribe. I get the notifications. I know when the
Hmm.
new episodes drop, and I was listening to it, and you were describing all the things that you do, and you finished off by saying entrepreneur, and I thought, oh my gosh, she is. I am. We
Yes,
are.
we
Yeah, because
are.
you know what I actually class an entrepreneur as is somebody who doesn't necessarily just go with the status quo of life. I'm going to
Hmm.
go to university, I'm going to get this job, I'm going to work at this job, and then I'm going to retire, and then I'm going to be done. I feel like an entrepreneur is somebody who doesn't want to do that, you know? It's
Yeah,
somebody who wants to do something slightly differently. And yes, I think you're right in saying that I do work in brand and marketing.
yeah,
But at the same time, wellness is such a passionate thing for me, it's my passion
yes.
project. So the skincare supplement that Amani and I are working on, we have had a couple of delays, darling, which is why it's not out yet. We've had some issues with some suppliers, which we're working through, but you know what? God
Okay.
is still good.
Hmm.
And we're really glad that we're seeing these little things that need to be tweaked now before we
Yes.
go ahead and go into full production. So yeah, it's still happening, and just going back to what I was saying about 30 seconds ago, I feel this need and desire to do more and be more and create more and make change. And
Yeah.
I I don't want to do that just through a, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So yes, you are right.
Wonderful. Excellent. And the last time I spoke to you on a live or on this sort of format was actually in
Mhm.
lockdown.
I know, I remember.
Yes, the Instagram Live, which was a
Oh my
huge
God.
success. And I think
It was
many
fun.
people love to see this beautiful Black woman here just doing her thing, walking through life, just owning herself, not asking any questions about who she's walking into a room with, why she's there, just like, I have arrived.
This is funny. You're so funny. Do you know what? I want everyone to feel that though. I
Yeah.
was on Bible study last week,
Hmm.
2 weeks ago, recently, and one of the questions was, "What do you want your legacy to be?" We were discussing legacies and how, the behavior of your parents or grandparents can
Yeah.
affect who you are today, even
Hmm.
though you may not have even have known these people. And we were each asked what we wanted our legacy to be. And I really thought, and it didn't take long to come to this conclusion. And I thought for a moment, and I thought, you know what I want my legacy to be? I really want my legacy to be that people remember me for being somebody who was absolutely not afraid to be herself,
Yeah.
and who encouraged, and this is the important bit, who encouraged other people to be themselves as well
Yeah.
and own who they are. And of course, there's a way to act in every scenario. There's a way to be appropriate in every situation. And
Yeah.
and but at the same time, I think it's so important just to be honest about who you are and your personality, and just
Yeah.
enjoy that. So I want people who meet me to see that that is hopefully what I do and be inspired to do the same.
It absolutely is. And I can attest to the
Thanks.
fact that you are someone who you're a cheerleader and you will absolutely help people to achieve what they want. If you can't help, you're just there cheering them on, you know. But
Yeah.
you are so generous with your resources, um, and you don't gatekeep, which is amazing. But you made a point just there about showing up and being yourself. And I think in this age of social media now, everyone is a brand. You know, everything seems to be about marketing. And it's like, I think this is why it has now got to a point where people are finding it very challenging to build authentic relationships and friendships. And that's what we're going to get into on this podcast episode
Mhm.
is how do we build adult friendships, lasting, authentic, real friendships? Um, Recently, I've listened to many podcasts and looked at many reels online, and there's a lot of struggle out there. You know, these
Absolutely.
community groups are popping up around the city
Mm.
in New York City, for example, like,
Mhm.
oh, come and let's all just read books together. And I'm like,
Okay.
damn, people need that now? Like, they're not
Yes.
just hanging? Like,
No,
what's
well,
going
they
on?
do, especially in big cities. I
Yeah.
hear that so frequently.
Hmm.
That London. I live in London. London is such a lonely city. I'm like, easy. But that's because I have communities and I belong to lots of different communities. I have
Yes.
friends from school, like you,
Hmm.
even though you live like thousands of miles away. I have like communities through hobbies that I do, communities through church as well, and so I'm never lonely. Girl, sometimes I got too many people to see. To be
Yeah.
to be honest,
I'm
to be very
tired.
honest with you,
I'm
sometimes I'm like,
tired.
I actually need to space this out. But it's true.
Yeah.
When you really think about it, unless you come from, I guess, kind of ready-made communities, maybe people you went to
Mm.
school with, people you go to church with,
Hmm.
people you're in a choir with, whatever, um, it can be lonely. I can't
Yeah.
imagine it for myself, but it is true.
Yeah.
And that's why you see these. I think it's cute though. I think it's nice. And you can, make new little tribes,
Whatever
learn.
you have to do, right? Whatever you have
Yeah.
to do to build those relationships. I do feel it starts with families. Growing up, I had my cousins, I had my
Yes, of course.
siblings, my aunts and uncles. That's my community, right?
Hmm.
And just like you, I had my religious community as well. Um,
Yes.
we were outside in these streets playing with our neighbors. Like they may not have been my besties, but they were available. And so
Yeah, of
that's who
course.
I hang out with, right?
Playing out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you play out. I
Yeah.
hardly see that anymore. But that's that's where you learn your social skills.
Hmm.
That's where you learn to have disagreements. You might cry, but then you make up again. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? Do you remember that little thing when you were friends? Make up, break up, never do it again. If
Make,
you do, I won't
yes.
be your friend.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Or what was it? Wasn't it make up, never, never break up or something?
It could have been that as well. That could have been a version.
Maybe, well, we went to different schools.
Yeah.
Maybe that was your school's version. Our school,
Yeah, that was
something like
Clapham
never, never
Manor.
break up or something. Yeah, I definitely remember that.
Yeah, so from a young age, we were learning how to have disagreements.
Hmm.
We had little arguments with our friendships, but it didn't end it. It wasn't the end of the world. It might have felt
Yeah.
like it, but like it lasted a week
Yeah, little
max.
skirmishes. I know
Yeah,
it's true.
yeah,
I love that word
exactly.
skirmish. I just like saying that
Yeah,
word, little skirmishes.
squirmish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had a skirmish though. I don't really recall ever falling out with you, to be honest. I mean, what's not
No,
to love?
I know, right? We're just lovable. I think with us, I think we have a mutual respect of
Mm.
our busy lives. Like, I
Yeah.
might not speak to you for a month or two, but I don't hold that against you because I know what your life's like. Do you know what I
And
mean?
yours,
Yeah,
we just like pick up where we left off,
we
and it's
do.
like,
We really do. And I think we both have very similar morals and values as
mm,
well. And so that's where we bond, and that hasn't changed. So essentially, we still have so much to base our friendship on. Um, but why? Why is it such a problem now? What is the fear of building friendships? Like, how do you define friendships as an adult?
do you know what? I actually think there's different types.
Mm,
I think there's
mm-hmm,
different categories of friendships. I think there's inner circle friendship,
mm-hmm,
and that is the five, I guess five, like a handful, right, of
mm-hmm.
people who you text the most, you call the most, who, they ring you, you're always going to answer the phone. There's some people who ring me and I'm like, we haven't booked this in, so I'm not answering it. Sorry, respectfully. But why are you ringing? If like,
Yeah, yeah.
and some people will ring for like hours, and they have just time to talk and talk and talk, and you think, oh gosh, no, and so hi, sorry, I missed your call. Should we like set a time to speak? Do you know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
then there's other people in your inner circle who morning, noon, night, middle of the night, they're going to ring you. They need you. You need them. You're there, right? You're there for them. They're there for you. I think
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
that kind of friendship, and then there's
Mm-hmm,
also friendships who exist in a certain space, and that's it. Maybe
mm-hmm.
work friends, for
Yeah,
example, and friends that you have at your running club
yeah.
or your swimming class, like those kind of friends. You never notice that with those kind of friends, you say things like, oh yeah, let's meet up, let's go for a coffee, let's go for lunch, let's meet up, and then kind of doesn't really happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
um
yeah.
but yeah, I think there's different types of friendship. I think to
Mm-hmm.
define friendship, let's use the inner circle one. I think that's the
Yeah.
easiest one to use. I think that friendship means people who are going to refine you. So they're the ones who might even like get on your nerves the most because you spend the most
Yeah.
time with them. I would include like your partner or your spouse in that group of friends as well, to be honest. Um, but they're also the ones who, as I say, they're going to irritate you, but they're going to refine you as well, and they're going to
Mm-hmm.
show you about yourself. They're going to reveal, girl, things that need to be changed, and they'll just reveal it, actually call it out on you. Whereas your kind of more surface level friends might think, oh, that's annoying, and then just move on and not really tell you, not actually helping you to become that better person.
Yes.
Not that they're
Yeah.
mean, but because that's just not their place in your life. They're that friend to someone else. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I guess that's how I would define friendship. So
Yeah.
was that the question, girl? Because I kind of
Yeah,
forgot.
yeah. And being
Yeah.
okay with that and being okay
Mm,
with different levels, right? Because I think we're not using the word acquaintance enough.
yeah.
You're an acquaintance. I know you, we've hung out, but we are not the inner circle, you know.
Hmm.
My inner circle are not yes friends.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
think that's really key, though. Your
Mm-hmm.
inner circle needs to be small. It needs to be
Yeah.
protected
Yeah.
as well, because you are the sum of is it five? I want to say five. Most, I don't know, the five people you spend the most time with.
Mm.
So
Okay.
have you ever noticed you start talking like people you spend most time with. You start
Yes.
talking like your spouse. You know what's so funny? Okay, I don't think I've ever told you this before. This is like tea for everyone. It's not
Okay.
bad, it's good.
Yeah.
You smile the same way your husband smiles.
Are you kidding me?
No, girl. Go back and look at the pictures. Go into the camera roll and look at the footage. If I can
No,
show
because
you,
he's got a massive smile and I
yeah,
used
I
to
know.
laugh at it.
Yours, don't laugh, because it's yours. Because yours has definitely grown. Because you've always had a wide smile, you know.
Yeah.
Your smile is like such a wide and like
Yeah.
genuine smile.
American.
Well, you've got nice teeth though, so it's fine.
Yes,
But
yes.
you smile the same as him now.
Oh my
Maybe
goodness.
not all the time, but there are definitely
Yeah.
photos I've seen and I thought, oh my gosh, they smile the same.
Wow.
Yes. And
Wow.
so this is why your inner circle is such a hallowed space
Yeah.
and should be reserved for only, people you want to become like, to be
I love
honest.
that.
Yes.
Oh, say that again. It should only include people you want to become like.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny. They used to say that with me and my Chavis, my
Mm.
brother, um, that we used to smile the same as well. You know, some people used to think
Mm.
we were twins, but
Yeah.
he's like, what is he, 2 years younger than me?
Yeah.
Wow. No, that's really interesting. So I think when building a friendships, yes, you need to kind of have this self-knowledge then. You need to know yourself and who
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
to a
Yeah.
point,
Mm-hmm.
because you cannot complain if you've got all these people around you which are not doing anything for you and you don't like the friendship. It's like, well, what's that telling you about yourself?
Yeah, great point. Great point. And aren't we past the age and stage? I mean, we are, because we don't know who's listening to this, right? So let's
Yes.
be respectful of all ages listening to this. But
Yeah.
I think you get to a place when your age, ugh, girl, I don't want to say this out loud because it makes it true. When your age starts with a four, and you just,
And
you
fabulous.
know,
Okay.
okay, and you just feel like, you know what? Why would I spend precious time with people I don't really enjoy? And I'm not saying we just like, you're dumb, you're dumb, I don't like you, goodbye. Like, I'm not saying that. But in terms of deciding who you spend the most time with and who you want to really pour into your personality and in your
Yeah.
case, your facial expressions,
Mm-hmm.
you have a right to choose
Mm-hmm.
that and curate that circle carefully, I think,
Absolutely.
anyway. And there's some people who go, oh, what's her name? Her name is Kim, I can't remember her last name. She's a pastor, and
Mm-hmm.
she would always say, we don't have enemies. We don't have enemies because that takes energy, and we're not into that. God hasn't asked us to make enemies of people. But there's some people who can just watch you from the balcony. You can have them in the balcony, and then there's some people who are in the front row.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. And
Yes,
that's just that. It's okay. You
and
know,
that's that on that.
we're not on this earth for everybody to love us.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, our purpose was to go forth and multiply and spread out.
Hmm.
And you cannot physically be liked and have a relationship with everyone on God's green earth.
Yeah,
So why are we spreading ourselves so thin to be accepted by the masses?
yeah,
I'm not here for that. That wasn't natural, you know? Um, and what's the anxiety, though, behind building friendships as an adult? What is the anxiety? I tell you what, I feel that from what I've heard and read, because I've been looking into this extensively, it's a trend with those who have grown up in the digital era.
so
We
what age
are
are we talking? Sorry to interrupt
So
you, Bonnie, but
we're talking Gen Z basically,
okay,
but it's creeping up because they're getting a bit older. So you're
of
you're
course.
like mid-20s to say 30, mid-30s now.
Okay.
It's becoming an issue. Um, and it's sad because I feel that they're missing those points in your life where it's like, for example, in our 30s, for me, I had arrived. I was like, yes,
Yes, I love
okay. I know myself. I got over the heartbreaks and foolery. And now here I am in my 30s, and I'm like, I know myself,
that.
you know?
What
And I feel
joy.
like that pivotal moment is being missed now because of the anxieties of appearing a certain way online. as
Yeah, what a
opposed in
viewpoint.
real life.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I want to build a relationship with you offline, not online. We might initially meet that way, but if I'm really interested and really want to be your friend with you, we're taking this offline,
yeah.
you
Taking it
know?
IRL, as the kids
Okay.
say. No, it's
IRL, yes.
true. It's
Mm.
it's so interesting because I was listening to some very young people today. So I was at an event today, and I had to give some young people a lift. One of whom called me auntie, and I was about to say, I'm, and then I was like, actually, LOL, kind of am.
Respect.
And she was being respectful. She wasn't being mean or anything, but I thought, oh my gosh, she's so much younger than me.
Yeah.
But I was kind of listening to their conversation because they were in the back of my car and I was driving, and then we were walking, and I was walking in front of them, and they were walking behind me, and they were talking about things like lip fillers, for instance, and like no body shaming here. Do what you want to do with your own body.
Yeah.
But it just made me think that's so interesting because clearly social media and all
Yeah.
the messages that they're receiving is getting so much cut through that that is where I think some younger generations are taking, and maybe even older, are taking their cues from, as
Mm.
opposed to taking cues, I guess, more organically
Mm.
offline.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you get around that. I often say to parents, people who are parents of, teenagers and early 20s aged people, how do you manage? Because I mean, we grew up in a completely different time.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
didn't necessarily have this exclusive exposure to social media like some others do. And I don't know the answer, because there's so much power in social media. I don't even know what can contend with it.
Well, what I'm finding, and we do have friends who have children,
Hmm.
and several friends with children, and I've noticed their different parenting styles now. I'm not here to judge. That's your parenting style. Do with it what you will. Every child has a need. But I've
Cool.
noticed that the parent who did not give their child a phone or a tablet at a table where we were having dinner as friends, right? There might not have been other children around, but they refused to give them technology. That child is growing up as a well-rounded individual who's able to carry on conversations and make jokes with adults.
How old are they?
He must be 12
Oh, wow. Impressive.
now.
Hmm.
And there is, as opposed to other children who are constantly on the phone or a tablet or something in a social setting, but does not communicate.
I find that strange. I'll be honest with you. I find that slightly irregular.
Mm,
And I'm not a parent, so I can only imagine how
mm.
sometimes you're just like, just take this iPad and go and sit down, please.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I get it. I work in an elementary school. I
Yes.
understand. Sometimes in the classroom, I'm like, get the laptops out. I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I get
I
it.
understand.
Well, I do wonder if sometimes we're doing the young people in our lives a disservice if that's all that we rely on.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this is why I'm not a parent. It looks like such a hard job, and hard in the sense that you have to be so consistent,
yeah,
so switched on, and so present all the time, like all the time. All you want to do is sit down and have dinner with your friends.
yeah,
That's all you want to do. But at the
yeah,
same time, you have to remember that there's a young mind I'm molding here.
yeah.
I have to bring them along with me. That must be really exhausting.
Oh, absolutely. And I applaud parents. I really do, in
Mm,
any capacity.
of
You know,
course.
um, I do feel that they are missing out on the ability to make those friendships of different ages as well.
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but growing up within a religious community, I made friends with people of different ages.
Of course.
I had close friendships with older women.
Of course.
And, we might not go out places, but they will come round for dinner, or, we would drive the older ones and go to Bird World or some zoo.
To Bird World.
Go,
Well, I've
yeah.
only ever seen. Sorry.
Yes, Bird
Did
World.
you? I've only ever seen the signs for Bird World.
Are you serious? Oh my gosh.
Bird
It's
World.
like a whole safari of birds.
Good. Do I
Yeah.
go to Bird World?
I mean, you should.
Oh
You
my God.
should. I mean, I'm sure they've improved it even more now, but
Even more birds.
we used to take older ones in our congregation out for the day and we went to
Yeah.
Bird World. And I remember those trips and I remember the
Yes.
conversations we would have in the car and the jokes and things like that, you know? And just this is all training,
Yeah.
social training, you
Great
know,
point.
to the
Great point.
point where now I can walk into a room and just have a conversation with someone, but I'm not trying to be a friend, I'm just being friendly,
Yeah, of
you know?
course. Yeah, yeah.
But if it does turn into friendship, that's a great bonus. Um, what do you think is essential in maintaining a friendship? What do you think we need? Because you and I, we're across waters, it's
Yes.
the Atlantic, but we have technology, we make great use of it.
Hmm.
Um, what do you think a friendship needs? You came here on a visit. When I go back to London, I make sure to spend time with you and hang out, you know, because you're one of those who I deem really close to me and special and a friendship that I want to maintain. So, yeah, it takes effort, but it's a joy to take that
Mm.
effort. So, what do
Mm.
you think a friendship in adulthood needs?
It needs intentionality. Is that a word? Is that a word?
It is now.
Okay. I love that. I love that. Yes, it needs intentionality
Yeah.
and because life will run away with you. It will. I spent yesterday, I live on my own, yeah. I
Mhm.
spent and I'm sure I'm not the only person. I spent the whole day doing domestic things. If it wasn't putting washing in the machine, it was taking washing out, or it was hanging it up, or it was changing the bed, or it was washing the wares, call it wares in the Grenadian community. Washing the wares, or then there's the dust, oh my gosh, there's just things, things, things. And then I went to the gym and then I thought, oh my gosh, I've just done tasks all day, and unless you are very intentional about your friendships, it can slide, like it can literally slide. So today I had a busy day, I was out at an event, but I said to myself, no, Alicia and I are going to spend this time together today because if it's not today, then tomorrow I'm having dinner with somebody. Thursday I'm going to my parents' house. Friday is Sabbath for me. Saturday I'm going out for dinner. Sunday I don't even know where I'm going. I know I'm going somewhere. And then it's Monday. And then the weeks just
Yeah.
add up.
Yeah.
And so unless you say to yourself, I'm carving out this time for
Right.
this friend, it won't necessarily happen. And I know it doesn't sound cute, it doesn't necessarily sound glamorous, but you just have to actually say, this person is important enough to me that I want to cultivate our friendship and I'm going to make the time to do it. I'm going to put it in my diary, I'm going to put a reminder, and this time is set for that person. It has
Yeah.
to be that. If you're far away from each other,
Yeah.
or sometimes it's just impromptu as well, just messaging them or just giving them a ring if they're in that inner circle. Don't be ringing people if you haven't arranged the call. If you're not in that inner circle. But sometimes it's just impromptu as well. You just give them a ring or you just have a chit chat.
Hmm. Hmm.
Another really good friend, she lives in Singapore. All my best friends live in other countries, some of them, and across very wide time zones. And she's 7 at the moment hours ahead of me, sometimes 8. And we do speak though. People say, "Oh, how do you speak? And how are you even close from that distance?"
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's either impromptu but intentional
Yeah.
for sure.
And
Like as.
that is just as important as a romantic relationship. You
Mm-hmm.
know, with Jamie, my husband now, when we were
Sure.
dating, when we first dated, he was living in Rome, so it was just an
Wow.
hour's difference.
Yeah, of course.
Um, he was in Europe, but then he came back to the States, and so it was like 5 hours difference. And we had to be really intentional about when we were going to go on Skype. You know,
Yes.
it was the time of Skype, just
Right.
to see our faces, or when we're going to call on WhatsApp, you had to be intentional. Um, and I also had to be intentional about, okay, cutting off the call because I need my sleep, you
It's
know?
true. It is.
Yeah, so, but he understood that as well.
Mhm.
So it's managing expectations as adults and not making a mountain out of a molehill with a lot of stuff as well. Not not creating a drama where there doesn't have to be.
Mhm.
Communication. What does communication look like? Don't leave it on a text message because you're going to get it wrong.
Yeah,
If
fair.
it's something sensitive, you can send a voice note now. You don't even have to call if you don't want to, but
Yeah, it's true.
you need to be able to express yourself
Yes.
succinctly and clearly in
Yeah.
any relationship, and friendships, it's the same.
I think you're right, and I also think that on that point of language and communication, being
Mm.
able to speak the same language is so important. I
Mm.
marvel at people, for example, who are in romantic relationships with people they don't speak the same language
Hmm.
as,
Hmm.
because that to me must be so challenging
Yeah,
because there are so many nuances in language,
yeah,
and if you're not speaking the same one, literally the same tongue, that must be very difficult.
yeah.
And I think when you are speaking the same language, I think, having shared experiences from having grown up together or shared experiences from just recent past as well, you're kind of creating your own language with that person and being able to speak that language together and feeling free and comfortable to
Mm.
speak and knowing you're going to be understood and not laughed at or
Yeah,
ridiculed.
yeah,
That's really important, I think, as an ingredient for a friendship too.
yeah, exactly. And I think also respecting different stages in life.
Mm,
Like many of my friends have become or are becoming mothers, parents.
yes.
And so my expectations of them in terms of availability has to change.
True.
Not that, oh, they could do this, they could, no, no, it has to change for the benefit of their child who is a priority.
Priority, exactly,
Okay. I am
exactly.
not a priority. This friendship is not a priority,
Wow.
and
Yeah,
humbly
yeah.
accepting that.
I was going to say, and not being immature about that either.
Mm, mm-hmm.
Just actually realizing this is probably what my parents did for me
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Maybe some of their friendships had to fall by the wayside when I came along,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, just being an adult about it, I suppose. But you know what else? Also, being comfortable in your own company
Mm.
is
Do
so
tell.
important.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because I think you have to be friends with yourself, ideally.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, you want to be friends with yourself. People always ask me, "How did you manage during lockdown?" Because I am a very social person, but I also love my own company as well. I really enjoy it, and just
Yeah.
I don't ever feel lonely. I don't know, I do things with myself, and I think being able to be comfortable in your own company, to repeat
Yes.
myself, is really, really important. I think sometimes when there's a feeling of discomfort about it, maybe it's because, are you friends with yourself, girl?
Mm.
Are you really friends with yourself? Do you like yourself? And what,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you don't, and that happens. That
Yeah.
can happen. That can happen to all of us at any stage. And it's not wrong. Like, I'm not saying, ugh, you're terrible for not liking yourself. But I'm just saying that could be a reason, maybe, if you're uncomfortable to spend time alone, maybe that could be at the root of it.
Yeah.
But I think being
Yeah.
able to spend time alone is an important component in a
Yeah.
good friend as well, because sometimes, you got stuff to do, man. Like, you can't have it's like clingy friends, like ringing all the time, or like just ringing for hours and hours. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I've said this 3 times. I don't like calls that go on for ages, guys. I don't like them. No, but
Could this have been an email? I mean,
yeah. Gosh, like work.
yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think being able to enjoy your own companies, it makes you a good friend. Makes you
Yes.
a good friend to others, I think.
No, I love that. I love that idea. Um, and it's just that confidence you have within yourself and being on your own will
Mm.
actually manifest in actually speaking to others because you're not bothered if it doesn't work. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not losing anything
Yes.
because I'm happy within this sphere of me, myself, and I, you
Yeah.
know? Um, and then you can go out and build on that. So,
Mhm.
on that point, though, what are some tips you would say in terms of where to find people, where
Hmm.
to go?
Oh gosh, so many interesting things happen. If you live in a city, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to talk about people who live in cities because I live in a city.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak to people who don't live in cities. I'm sorry, but there are so many things happening in cities. Oh my gosh! So my mum and I, we had a free Sunday. It was wet and cold. To be fair, that could have been any time in the UK, but I think it
right?
was maybe like October, November time last year. We had a free Sunday. And I said, Mum, let's
And
just
that's
do
why we
something.
just get on with it, by the way.
I know,
Because if
I
you went by
know.
the weather, you'd go nowhere.
You wouldn't go anywhere, honestly. Just keep your umbrella on deck all the time. And off you go. So we had a Sunday and I said, let's just do something random, Mum. And we ended up booking a walking tour of London. Now, bear in mind, I'm a London native. I've lived here almost my entire life, apart from when I lived in Spain for just over a year. And we went on this walking tour, Mum and I. But bear in mind, I could have gone on my own. So let's imagine you book a walking tour, you go on your own. You meet so many people, and you have a wonderful shared experience, and you're able to build connections with people as you're walking the street of London because your guide is talking to you and you're like, oh, I didn't know that. And then you make a comment to the person nearby you or something, and it's not a massive group. So I understand that not everybody is comfortable
Yes.
talking to large groups of people who they don't know, and I completely get that. That's not me, but I do understand that. So I like small little groups activities that are happening in your city. Just Google randomly free things to do in this city or tourist attractions in this city. Just do something, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
go just get out there. That's one I would say. Um, Starting a sport or a hobby as
Mm-hmm.
well. I really want to play pickleball.
Oh,
And
you
I want
do?
to play, no, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't done it yet, but I want to do it. And I want to play, what's the other one? Paddle. I just want to, just do more sporty things because I do enjoy working out and going to the gym, but I would like to do a sporty something
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
And who knows who you might meet there, who's also doing the same hobby. Mum and I went to a Japanese pottery class, I think for Mother's
Oh,
Day last year. What is it called? Do you know that
oh, the
technique?
kintsugi.
Yes, where you
Yes.
break
Yeah.
some porcelain usually, and then
Amazing.
you put it back together
Yeah.
with that gold kind of filling.
Yep.
And again, we met some lovely people at that. Um, yeah, notice I haven't said, oh, just go to a bar, go and see who you meet. But you could do that too. That might work too. But I just get the feeling, I
It's too
get this
loud.
sense that, yeah, like share something shared that you're doing together and you're learning
Again,
something together.
intentionality.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
nice. I think that's a nice way to meet people.
Yeah.
That's a good way, I
Yeah.
think, to make friends.
Yeah. And so these groups that are popping up to, just go and read a book, or
Mm,
there's a scrapbooking club, or,
yes,
these small events like
sure.
perfume making. I mean, I live in a city where there's so many free things to do as well.
It's true. Yeah.
So many free
Yes.
things.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes it can just start out with the simple, oh, hi, or excuse me,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
nobody greets anyone, or no one really, when you're in New York City, you just put your head down and go, you've got
Yes.
some place to go. It's like,
Yeah.
move it, move it, move
Although
it.
to be fair, I find New Yorkers really chatty. Whenever I'm
Once
there,
I get
people
going, oh gosh, yeah. Yeah. Uh,
sound like an old chit chat.
Yeah, man. And they're actually very helpful in New York City.
Yeah.
They're aggressive with it, but they're helpful.
I know. They want to help you, but just help you quick and then you get out of my way, please. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
not
get
coming
it?
over.
Got it? Good.
But yeah, I think that's a nice that reminds me of another nice way I think to meet people. This is gonna sound weird and maybe even borderline superficial, but
Yeah.
wear something interesting. The amount, if imagine you're at a conference or a trade show, or
Mm-hmm.
just in the world, wear something interesting. The amount of conversations, honestly, I have had with people who've just said, "Oh, I really like your jacket or your belt or whatever it is," and then you like just start chatting. I'm not saying you're going to become friends with all of them. There's some people I have become friends with actually. There was a random. I was in Dubai years ago. What was I wearing? I think I was wearing a headscarf. I think I was wearing
Ah.
an African print headscarf because my hair wasn't done. And a lady came up to me outside my hotel. I was waiting for like an Uber or something outside my hotel. She said, "Oh, I love your headscarf. And where are you off to?" And I said, "Oh, I'm off to this art exhibition." She said, "Oh my gosh, we're going as well. Do you want to come with?" I felt like I was in the Middle East, safe country.
Very.
Anyone who
Mm.
tries to do anything to me, you're probably going to get like, some kind of severe punishment. I thought, she seems safe, fine. And she said, "Oh, I'm just bringing my car around." I said, "Okay." This Bentley came around the corner. I said, "Okay." I
Good
hopped
choice.
in. I
Good
hopped
choice.
in. I'm like, you know what? I had a friend for the evening, me, her, and some other person she was with, and they were very interesting people. And then,
Hmm.
if we wanted to stay in touch, we could have. But sometimes you have a friend for the day,
Yeah.
a friend for the night, or
Yes.
something. And I think that's,
Absolutely.
I love that kind of thing. So I think that's
Yeah.
pretty cool too.
I found that on a cruise actually, on the table we were at.
Oh yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
It's
You're so
funny.
grown up. You've been on a
Oh,
cruise.
finally, yes. I've popped the cruise. I've popped it. I'm ready for my
Um,
next one. But there was two couples on there, and we know we're not staying in contact,
sure.
but we're assigned to each other's table at dinner, and you just get on with it.
Mhm.
We had another one, I think they were from Germany, and maybe they both did speak English, I'm sure, but they decided to leave and go with some German speaking people. And I thought, you kind of did yourself a disservice there by not exposing yourself to something new or people from somewhere else. And these couples were from different parts of the states,
Mhm.
and their experiences were very interesting. But it was okay to just leave that behind. I felt no pressure to be friends with them.
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, we wouldn't have been. Like, at the end of the day, you guys are just here. We're just eating dinner together, but we're not on tours together either.
Hmm.
Um, but you just make of it what you will. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're
You got to get
practicing.
started. Yeah.
Yes,
You got to
practice
get
those
started
social
before.
skills.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And then
Mm-hmm.
see where it leads. For
Yeah.
you, it ended when you got stepped off the ship. I went to a wedding in Egypt last November,
Mm-hmm.
and I was sitting next to a couple at the wedding, and I
Mm-hmm.
was, you ask, oh, how do you know them? How do you know them? And they said, oh, we went on a walking holiday about 35 years ago, and we met the bride's parents, and we've stayed friends ever since. And, they're like
Wow.
godmother to my child, and it was lovely. But you don't know where something is going to lead unless you get started.
You just don't know.
Have a conversation. Just have a
Yeah.
conversation. You just never know.
Yeah. So I think we've spoken about intentionality,
Mm-hmm.
managing our expectations of friendships, and then creating those opportunities to become a friend and
Yes.
to practice those social skills
Yes.
to
Yes.
be a friend.
And can I just say something else?
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you there,
go
darling.
ahead.
Can you just be friendly? Like there's a verse in the Bible that says, isn't it in the Bible that says to have friends, one must be friendly. You
Essentially,
be
yes.
friendly.
Yes.
There's some people you're like, oh, no, I don't know, man, bad vibes. Maybe I'll just like, whoop, maybe I'll curve that one. But
Yeah,
be friendly. And I'm not saying
exactly.
be vulnerable and let people walk over you or, be put yourself in unsafe situations, but just be friendly, man.
Yeah. Just
See
be
where that leads.
polite, be
Yeah,
nice, be kind, share a smile. Yeah, I don't have to
exactly.
be all over you. I'm not okay. If you're not a hugger, don't hug. I don't hug everybody. I am a hugger, but I don't hug everyone,
No, of course. Yeah,
hygiene purposes.
absolutely.
But
What's
yeah,
milk? What's milk?
exactly, exactly. But yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Be the friend you want.
Yeah, that's great.
Be the friend
That's
you
nice.
want. And
Yes.
if it ain't working, then maybe you need to think about what you need and the type of friend you actually want, you know,
Exactly.
if it is that
Yes.
much of a struggle. But, as adults, we're busy, we have businesses, but it's all a journey, and the right friends are just going to come on that journey with you, whether you speak to them every day or you speak to them on a monthly basis or so, you know,
It's
drop a
true.
line, drop a card, drop an email,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
reach out as well. Like, people, I hear people complain frequently, oh, I haven't heard from that person in ages, or
Mm,
oh, I never know what's going on in the family. Even in families, you have
mm-hmm,
to cultivate friendships with your
mm-hmm,
family members, I
mm-hmm.
think.
Yeah,
And I talk to everyone. I talk to anyone and everyone. And
yeah.
somebody said to me, "Oh, yeah, but Georgina always knows what's going on in the family." I'm like, "Well, yeah, because I speak to people. You
Girl,
have to
I
reach
am
out
that
to them as
person.
well."
I am the same one.
Yeah, you can't expect it to always come from the other person.
Yeah,
Reach
yeah.
out to them.
Yeah, you have to create those opportunities, and it's okay to be the one to reach out. actually.
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
feel better knowing that I have, because
Agreed.
if heaven forbid something was to happen to that person and I know I didn't contact them or I didn't make that effort, I'd feel a whole lot worse.
Yes.
I'd feel a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
And so if I have the thought of someone, I send them a text.
That's nice. I
Even if I
really like.
don't have the time to spend on the phone in a whole
Sure.
conversation, I'm gonna send you a text because you just crossed my mind for a reason.
Mm,
I'm very sensitive to the proddings of the Holy Spirit, okay? If it's
love
telling
that.
me contact, like it told me to contact my cousin once, I feel.
Mm,
For some reason, she just popped up because she was having a baby. And I was like, oh, hi, cuz, how you doing? How's the little
yeah.
one getting on in there?
Yeah.
Do you know that very day I contacted her, she was giving birth?
Wow.
She was
Did she
giving
text you
birth.
back?
She texted me back, I think, the next day. And she was like, I can't believe you've reached out. Like, I was literally in labor.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
It's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, good. I'm glad I did that because you just never know,
It's so true.
you
That's a good
know?
point.
Yeah,
When
there's
you
so
want to
many
fight.
ways we can keep in contact.
Yeah, it's true.
Hmm.
Send someone a song that maybe you're listening to that you think that they might like,
Hmm.
or if you see something in the world, you might
Hmm.
have a friend who likes cars or airplanes or something. If you see one, take a quick snap. Oh, I thought you might like this.
And that's about
So,
knowing people. You
yeah,
know them,
exactly.
it sparks conversation. That
Exactly.
conversation could lead on to something else.
Hmm.
And one other thing about communication as well, I listened to a podcast recently of this lawyer, and he's like a trial lawyer or something, but he was speaking on the art of speaking. And one thing he mentioned was, if someone says, how are you? Don't just say good, like many of us are prone to doing, but just sit there, take a breath, and then really respond honestly.
Yes,
Because we are too quick in our responses these days. And many of us could really be alone or going through things. And if we do have our friends, be honest. They're the ones you're supposed to be able to be honest with,
agree.
you
I
know?
agree. Yeah. It's so
Mm.
true. I mean, it's very surface level communication to ask somebody how they are and receive a fine back and then just keep it moving. But
Yeah.
if that person really is important to you, and if you really feel safe around them, and
Hmm.
if you really trust them with what's
Hmm.
going on in your life, and I would like to suggest that everybody needs a couple of people at least like that, right,
Yeah.
in their life.
Yeah.
Um, I like that whole concept though of just not being on autopilot, but take a moment.
Hmm.
What did they ask me? They asked how I am. How am I?
Mm.
And then answer the question. Who said that? Can I read more from this person?
Do you know what? I'm going to send you a link. I'll probably put it in the notes as well. It's from, oh, what's his podcast? Let me see. I
Mm.
think I saved it as well. His voice was very soothing, so it was like a 2 hour podcast. So it took
Really?
me a while to finish it. But he was also talking about if someone's really upsetting you and not getting into an argument, but taking a breath, then taking another breath before you
Oh,
respond.
like
And
physically
yeah,
breathing.
physically taking a
Okay.
breath to slow it down and then asking them, I'm sorry, can you repeat that again? If they said something offensive, most of the
Mm.
time people won't do it because they were just talking really quickly. Um,
Oh, I want to try that out.
yes, yeah, and asking them to repeat that.
I could think of somebody, yeah, who I could try that out with actually.
Oh, it's Stephen Bartlett's podcast, The Diary of a
Oh, I like
CEO.
him.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's
yes.
cool. So his guest was Jefferson Fisher, the speaking coach.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So he's a trial. He's a top lawyer. So he talks about courtroom tricks when he's like
Wow.
arguing. It's
Just my mind tricks. You
fascinating.
must know so much.
Yeah, fascinating stuff.
Wow.
But the actual ability to communicate and how we speak, it was amazing. And I think in
Mm.
relationships and friendships, we could do with some of that because we've gone down to 140 characters or less, and that can just create so much damage. And people When you're online, you're someone else than you are in person.
Mm.
Or you're brave on WhatsApp, but when you come to talk to me face to face,
Different story.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So I think all of these are strategies in order to build and keep lasting friendships. And it's okay to let some go. What do you think about that?
Agreed.
Mm.
Not really many notes by the way, to be honest. Honestly, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people, you're not going in the same direction. You don't see life the same way. I don't mean, you both have to like the same flavor of ice cream. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you see things in a way of, yes, we can do this.
Yeah.
Let's see how we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
They see,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, I don't, oh no, no, we can't do that. Oh no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can light and darkness work together? Can two people walk together unless they really agree,
Mm-hmm.
on fundamental things?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
No.
And it doesn't have to be an exit interview, you
That's
know?
so funny.
It really doesn't.
So I'm firing you as a friend, and your interview is next week at 5. Bring a notepad.
Yeah. Here's some pointers for your next
Hope
friendship.
not with me. Oh gosh. Well, how do you do it then? What do
I,
you
I
do?
I wonder, like, I'm just like, yeah, I think it's just you don't go out with each other as much. And when you notice, accept it. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? So you
Yeah.
might not talk as much, you might not associate as much, um, but at some point, take notice of that, both of you, and just accept it. It
Mm.
doesn't, if you want to have a conversation about it because you're that type of person that needs that sort of closure, then it's going to be awkward and icky and whatnot. You just got to
Very.
be prepared for it. But for me, I think with some friendships, it's just like, yeah, it just sailed and that's okay. You
Yeah.
just realize you're at a point, oh, I haven't spoken to them for over a year, but they're not bothered either because they haven't reached out.
There you go. There you go.
And I'm like, well, if you were that upset, you could have spoken to me because we've spoken all those years before, you know?
Sure. Yes, I
So
do.
I think just taking stock, maybe just doing a stock take for your friendships, all
True.
your
And maybe there are
relationships.
some like in that should belong in the DNR category. Do
Yeah,
not resuscitate.
yeah,
Yeah, just kind of leave it. Just yeah,
yeah.
I've had a
Don't
couple of
force
that.
it.
No, and
Don't force it. And when you
I
feel, if you're feeling refreshed after picking back up with someone, you know, I think
mm,
we just have to allow for the variety in life. I think
mm,
sometimes we try to put things in a box. We
yeah,
try
and
to
assume things will stay
put,
static.
yeah,
Life will stay static.
no. And so just accept that you're going to have a variety of relationships within your life. You know, we have a wide vocabulary that perhaps we have lost. For example, the word acquaintance or workmate. You're a workmate. You're not like my bosom buddy.
I know so many people like,
You
why do they need
know,
to know my business? We just work together. We are not friends.
you're not
I don't want to
friends.
hang out with you. I mean, I
No.
get it. I
Yeah.
depend. I don't know, I've had some jobs where I've been really, really close to my colleagues,
Mm-hmm.
and others where we haven't been as close.
Mm-hmm.
However, I've found, now that I think about it, I had a very big party earlier this year, and there were people from almost everywhere I'd worked there. Not
Mm.
gangs of them, but
Yes.
maybe a one or a two, from each workplace.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of being deep friends, as you say, bosom buddies with all of your colleagues, I don't think it's necessary. I think it's necessary to have a pleasant relationship with them. I do.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
really do. You spend so much time at work. But as
Mm-hmm.
you say, in terms of being besties, I would say, I would say, Alicia, I would say don't close yourself off to making a best friend from work because you never know.
You never know.
You never know. But I equally do understand if you don't feel like you need to, you know, tell all your secrets to your colleagues and stuff, and you need to be like, I'm crossing
Yeah.
my fingers,
Yeah.
this close with all of them as
I would
well.
say I've got like 3 friends, and I have had 5 maybe long-lasting jobs in my life.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so basically it's nearly one per job I'm still in
Yeah.
contact with. And that's
Yeah.
okay. That's
I think
okay.
that's all right. That's
That's fine.
okay ratio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And as you say, it can be possible. You have people who you just naturally gel with. But yes, be pleasant at work, have a sort of relationship. It's a work professional relationship, but there has to be that element of friendship. So maybe just not boxing friendship into besties or some people we hang out with, or you're going to get to know my whole life. We're going to, no, 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 no. That's not necessary.
Yes.
But you're going to need it to enjoy your work as well. Enjoy the environment you're in.
Agreed. You
Yeah.
spend a lot of time there. Yeah.
Fabulous. So, after this extensive conversation, Georgina,
Yes.
thank you for joining me today. This has been wonderful. But what would your thought of the day be in terms of friendships and building them?
I would say sow them. So if you imagine friendship like seeds, sow them far and wide. Sow them far and wide, and then see what pops up.
Yeah.
And that might sound like I'm speaking in a contradictory manner because I've said earlier that, you've got an inner circle of,
Mm-hmm.
a few people. But I
Mm-hmm.
think sow the friendship seeds far and wide and then see, as I say, what germinates from it and then who maybe deserves to
Mm-hmm.
be in that inner circle. But be open to making friends on any day of the week. I
Yes.
mean, you might meet somebody who's going to be a really great friend tomorrow and you don't even know them yet.
Mm.
Some of the best friends I haven't had them for that long. A lot of my friends are from school, but some of them are newer friends. And I just went to an event or something and didn't know I was going to meet them,
Yeah.
was open to speaking and open to being friends.
Yeah.
And now we're great friends. Some people I met at events was open to being friends. And we're not great friends, but some are. I'd say just be open. Be
Yeah.
open to making a friend at any time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh, I
You're
miss you.
I miss you too.
Gosh. No, I think we need to meet somewhere neutral because
Yes, yes, girl, let's
UK
go on
and
holiday,
US.
please. Do you want to go to Because I really want to go to Marrakesh.
Oh, lovely. Always love Marrakesh.
It feels like your kind of place. Have you not been?
Yes, darling.
I was gonna say, yeah. That feels like a
No, I
perfect trip on
have.
your part if you haven't been, because that's your kind of vibe completely. I want to
Absolutely.
go. Please, I want to
Marrakesh.
go.
Okay, let's stop this because no one else is coming.
Yeah, exactly. No one else cares about our holiday.